Eleanor, I'd love to hear from you. I know you did an entire session at a Women in Tech conference, I think on salary negotiation and other tips. So what advice do you have to share?
Yeah, so I'm big into sort of all the stats all around the biases of getting women into tech, landing those roles and how you negotiate well for them. I think one that's quite interesting is that, and I've really experienced this myself, if I'm looking at a job ad and it's not transparent about the salary, there's no indication of pay, I immediately feel like, oh, I shouldn't apply for that job because something about it just really turns me off to the role. And women are 10% more likely to walk away from a job and not even apply if it's not clear about salary. And there's a ton of depth to what goes behind this, but it basically relates to the idea that women take less risks when it comes to job ads, when it comes to the job application process, largely because we have less available time than men, just because of biases and family circumstances and all the other expectations on women. But there are things we can do to help with that. So even if we're looking at job ads and going, oh, I feel a little bit like I shouldn't apply because it's not clear about salary, knowing that you face this bias, what I've started doing is reaching out to the hiring managers, reaching out to those companies and asking directly, can you give me an indication of what the salary is? Because I can't waste my time applying unless you can give me an indication whether I can afford to take the role when I'm successful. And I do say when and not if in these emails. And a lot of times companies might respond and say, we're not willing to share that information at this point. I've started politely replying back and going, that's perfectly fine if that's your policy, but you might find that you're disadvantaging women. If you find that your teams aren't as diverse as you would like, you might want to reconsider this policy, but thanks for your time, have a nice day. And the last time I did this, I actually then got an email back from the team this role was specifically in, who had been forwarded this fairly polite email, and they got back to me with a salary range. So even just kind of opening people's eyes to these biases that they might not know that they're introducing can really help us, get through some of those initial hurdles and into that job pipeline. And then there's a whole other story of when it comes to actually negotiating, because women negotiate 15 to 50% less when accepting a job offer. It's like an alarming range, right? We just, for some reason, are conditioned not to argue back, not to ask for more. And the thing I've found most helpful for this personally, and with some of the women who I've managed through my career as well, when they've gone on to new roles, is tell myself I have to negotiate. It doesn't matter if I might not take this job. It doesn't matter if I think it's a fair offer. Negotiate anyway, because you just should. It's what everyone else is doing. So I force myself to negotiate. And also, if I feel like I'm being lowballed, like you were saying, Nima, it absolutely happens all the time. Women are getting lowballed in the industry constantly. I try and focus on evidence and focus on reasons. So rather than just saying, I think I'm worth more, I say, I do have several years of senior experience, like we talked about. I have this, that, and the other. What specific skill would you need me to provide evidence for to pay me what I'm asking? Is this beyond your salary range? What reasons are you giving for the salary you're offering me? And I guess just the final point is I refuse to give people my current salary. This can vary country to country on whether that's acceptable or not, but if at all possible, it's nobody's business what you currently earn, because they should value you for the experience you currently have, not for how you were valued 3 years ago when you took your last job. And they should value you at the rate they expect to value all of their engineers, not you as an individual and whatever biases they might take when they look at you. So I just try and make sure everything's really evidence-based all the way through, and it helps me push back against some of these challenges.
I am so grateful we are recording this session. You just packed in such exceptional, actionable advice And I mean, there was so much there, Eleanor, and I don't know if you all recall in the audience, I introduced Eleanor as an outspoken advocate for inclusivity and equity in teams. And my goodness, you've demonstrated that so beautifully. So having that courage, if the data's not there, ask for it. You have every right to ask for it. And I love how you highlight if there's a reluctance to do so, you educate them a little bit on the impact that's having about in terms of recruiting a diverse slate of candidates and simple language choices. When, not if, I get this position. We can go on and on. Thank you. That was really, really helpful.